everybody, and welcome one and all to the Chaos Protocol. We are an all-transgender, people of color-led, dark fantasy actual play channel telling stories set in an original, non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. And what that means is I stand against genocide and ethnic cleansing and support all the oppressed peoples of the world struggling against injustice, imperialism, and colonization. So free DRC, free Sudan, and free Palestine. And now let's get chaotic. So if you're unaware, if you're new to this, we are co-streaming tonight here on Twitch and YouTube at Transplanar RPG and on TikTok, hello TikTokers, at my personal platform by Connie Chong. If you're watching this stream right here, right now, you are seeing the live recording of Arc 2 episodes 11 and 12. So because this is a live recording, the final podcast version might differ just a little bit from the stream as we clean some things up and add background music, but there is no wrong way to enjoy chaos, whether you are a live viewer, a VOD watcher, or a podcast listener. So now, please allow me to introduce my fantabulous, spectacular cast, starting with Valiant Dorian.
Hello everybody, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Ox the Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of playing your misbeloved twin brother, the Chosen One, Sayer, who uses he, they pronouns. And I'm going to pass introductions to the amazing Kai.
To who? Hello, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. I am back tonight playing Mr. Zanin Esh, who uses he, him pronouns, and he might be a ghost. We don't really know. I'm going to bounce it on over to the unparalleled Sam Star.
Aw, Kai, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Star. I use she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. And tonight I am playing our favorite healer slash chronologist, Lumira, who uses she, her pronouns. Over to the boss.
It's me, the boss, and I'm Connie. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong. And I've got on this hanfu. See, our producer got it for me for Valentine's Day. This is my first ever time wearing this that I can remember, probably when I was a baby. But I'm gonna spin around and show it off to you all. Check out the skirt. It's got like cranes on it, if you couldn't see. I'm very proud of it. It's very pretty. And it's very xianxia of me to be wearing this in our Arc 2 stream. So, to start off our announcements for tonight, a massive thank you to our sponsors for Arc 2, Explain Trade, Chepeku, and Hero Forge. Explain Trade is a negotiation skills training consultancy that believes in the power of transplaners' potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift up our communities. So thank you so much for believing in us now and always. Dimitri opines on Twitter. Chepeku is an incredible map-making company that creates unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPGs, maps, and scenes you can't find anywhere else. With dozens of variations and effects, you can use VTT integrations to make your worlds come to life. So pledge to Chepeku's Patreon today at patreon.com/Chepeku, that's CZEPEKU, and tell them Transplater sent you. Every pledge that goes to them supports us as well. So use !sponsors in chat to get a full list of our supporters for this stream if you're in the Twitch chat, and make sure to stick around during the break to check out their products.
We'd also like to take a moment to thank our Patreon precepts. These are folks pledged to the highest tier in our Patreon. Thank you so much to Alex, Astrid, The Bow System, Charles, Cassidy, Cora Eckert, Derek Davidson, Jordan, Lex, Lyle and Peanut, Mark J, Phil, Rose, Spencer, and Stardeers for supporting the second arc of Chaos. Use Patreon in chat to learn more about our rewards and get access to some truly devious behind-the-scenes content.
And if you're enjoying the Chaos Protocol, please consider donating and leaving us a tip. All tips go towards us as performers and will also be used to support our incredible mod team. Every time you donate 15 or more, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a very special dice set from Dispel Dice. Does this set remind you of anyone? Chosen someone, perhaps? Use !donate in chat and toss a coin to the Twilight Guard.
Now, last time on the Chaos Protocol. Strike Team Nova appears in the misty city of heaven and discover the missing gods. The team hears rumors of hauntings, tense negotiations, and confusion. After following a familiar ghost into the gambling house and causing problems, TM, Nova meets Long He and Zhiling, two of the symbols vying for the Emperor's virtue. They are taken to the Heavenly Palace where a council meeting with the Emperor is about to begin. Use !recap in chat to read our full written recap document.
Thank you for that, Sam. And now, just as a reminder, as always, the Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, complex and complicated relationships, visions, memory loss, romance, guns as weaponry, alcohol and drug use, monsters and monstrosity, body horror, blood, ghosts, and mentions of cannibalism, snakes, and the death of loved ones and family. So if you're in the Twitch chat, you can use !CW at any time to get a look at our content warnings. And if you're on TikTok, go to the link in my bio or transplanterrpg.com to learn more about our show and other ways to watch us, join our community, and support us. You can also just keep tapping those hearts. That'll help us get boosted in the views and the rankings and whatnot. That's very helpful on TikTok. And now, moving on to the title of tonight's episode, it is A Crimson Bird Who Cries for Sooth, from Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Let's begin. "4,000 years ago, a peasant girl from nowhere was born on Yaolan. For generations, her family had worshipped a god of miracles and midwives, but she was devoured some 100 years earlier by a deity of everlasting flood. As her parent screamed in pain and her mother prayed to a god that was long gone, the peasant girl from nowhere came tumbling into this world in a baptism of blood and flame. 4,000 years ago, Long Xiefeng was not yet known as Emperor Long Du, devourer of the devouring, grand adjudicator of the game, sovereign on high of Yaolan, the amethyst dragon. Long Xiefeng was known by one name, and one name only: Godkiller. Inside the Hall of Peerless Destiny, the Emperor Long Du's voice rings out in a surprisingly gentle tone. Her inflection is warm and cold, like currents colliding, flat and lilted, like a rolling plain, humble and terrifying, like a sheathed sword that knows it will kill the moment it is drawn. Gods of the city, forgive the breakage of due process. The courtier of 4 symbols is typically the one who announces my extravagant titles and administers these assemblies. Unfortunately, they are not here tonight. Their absence, among other anomalies, is the topic of tonight's discussion. As you all are no doubt aware by now, on the night of my proclamation, the mist that visits our heavenly city every evening changed. It thickened into an unusually dense fog that refuses to dissipate no matter what methods we employ or how much time elapses. As I speak, the midday sun could be blazing above our heads and we would be none the wiser. Thanks to the mist, our city is bathed in perpetual eventide. Furthermore, members of our city have gone missing, starting with the courtier of 4 symbols. And now, Mingyu, the god of harmonious names, and Weijun, her dutiful younger sister, are also gone. I am aware of the rumors, of the sensation of being watched. This is why I have sounded the assembly drum. The strange uneasiness that accompanies this unusually dense mist. I will not announce my virtue until these mysteries are solved, the mist is lifted, and our missing gods are restored among our ranks. This is why I have gathered all of you here, especially the 4 of you. And with that, the Emperor turns her gaze to the 4 simples. Zhiling, Luhua, Chunjing, Langhui. Now, more than ever, the city of heaven needs its leaders. Tell me what you have discovered about the mist and our missing gods as you have been charged to do. Zhiling, the gentlewoman scholar, steps forward immediately. Her stance is proud. She holds the Emperor's gaze without fear. Something flickers between Zhiling and Longdu, but it's gone before you can pin it down. And then Zhiling is speaking, and her voice is a blazing inferno, restrained within a beautiful glass crucible. Immortal Emperor, I have consulted the deepest archives of the Vermilion Library regarding the secrets of the mist, and I am honored to share what I have found in your radiant presence. Now, as most of us know, the mist is the font of magic. It is the force that binds the sister realms. It is the place where godly power comes from. It is the core of hope and despair. The land of dreams. The miasma of consciousness. But I have also discovered in my research something that not many of us know. According to certain scholars, the mist is where gods go after we die. At that, the entire hall begins to buzz. There are frantic whispers, panicked glances, fluttering fans. Emperor Longdu raises a hand, and the hall quiets once more. Zhiling, what are you implying? When we consider the disappearances, the rumors of monsters, and devouring era accounts of a similarly dense mist, it stands to reason that the Hounds of Doom are on our doorstep, just as they were 10,000 years ago. And at that, the hall starts buzzing again, even more desperately than last time. How do the 3 of you take all this in? What emotion flutters across your faces? Starting with Zynon.
Zynon hears all of it and is taking it all in, but the moment that Longdu starts talking about how the mist could also mean that they're all dead, he kind of looks around nervously, and that fear that's already thrumming in his head from just being this close to the Emperor elevates higher and higher to the point where even though he's trying to listen to the people around him, he can mostly only hear his heartbeat. Or at least he hopes it's actually his heartbeat.
Yes, Zynon, you try to stifle the sense of your pulse quickening within your sternum. When you breathe in to center yourself, you smell a flutter of white hair leading you into a gambling parlor. Lumira, how do you respond to this?
I think Lumira is stock still, intently listening. You can almost see the gears clicking behind her eyes, trying to put things together, take note of what's important, get a feel for the reaction of others around.
The sheer focus with which you absorb all of this information is like gears clicking against each other in perfect harmony, and on another click of your mind whirling in on itself, focusing, we click over to Sayer.
Sayer was in mid-bite of the bun that he had retrieved from the chef god moments before. And I think once the bite was completed, he sits still. All of these thoughts, the idea of the mist not being a feature, not an oddity here in the city of gods, the city of heaven, it being the afterlife. And the moment the mention of the hounds of doom emerges from the lips of the gods, his own lion-like tail subconsciously swishes inside, the little bangles, the golden bangles at the end of it, clattering and clinking against each other, maybe tapping against a pillar within the grand hall. And Sayer feels like, what is it? Oh yes, a deer being hunted. That's what he feels like.
And as your tail with its bangles clinks against a jade pillar, the Emperor raises their hand once more, and the hall falls quiet instantly. It is Twinzing who speaks next, in that perpetually even-keeled, crystal-clear tone like the clicking of the beads on their abacus. Gentlewoman scholar, your theories are simply that. Theories. One could extrapolate any number of hypotheses from the data presented, and the data presented is not very firm. You said so yourself, that only some scholars believe the mist is where gods go after we die. I question the validity of your sources. Furthermore, even if your sources had fertile enough ground to sprout roots, the presence of the mist does not necessarily indicate a second devouring is upon us, as some pot stirrers have claimed. Oh, head administrator, you are intelligent. That much nobody would deny you. But it takes more than intelligence to lead a city. It takes wisdom. You do understand the difference between the two, don't you? It takes power. If my theory is correct, then we stand to lose everything if we do not act accordingly. If my theory is wrong, no harm, no foul. And let me extrapolate this time. Your proposition for acting accordingly means doing whatever you tell us to do, even though the Emperor has plainly stated she will not name her virtue under these circumstances, yes? The circumstances have improved already, thanks to my research. But the rest of us have yet to present our findings. And all eyes in the hall swivel over to Lang Hui, the heavenly liaison, and the white snake that coils around their shoulders. A little eager, if I do say so myself, gentlewoman, scholar, even in light of your reputation as a rake. Oh, heavenly liaison, you wound me. I would have thought that you'd know better than to address me with such disrespect after our private discussion earlier today. And at that, Lu Hua chimes in. Private discussion? Are you two? Congratulations! And the tension in the hall dissipates. We hear laughter, we hear some people snorting, we see people smiling, and every god turns to Lu Hua, who's rubbing the back of her neck in a kind of embarrassed fashion and laughing to herself. But there's something intentional about the way she's chuckling at herself, why don't each of you roll me 2d6?
Can I add something to that?
Go for it, Lumira.
I'm gonna use diagnoses if I can to tack on to
Okay,
it.
yeah. Why don't each of you also pitch me a power tag if you'd like to kind of see what's going on with Lu Hua?
I would add the chosen one, but I think that would immediately be removed by the tag denial.
You are right. So that is a +1 +0. I mean, +1 -1, so a net 0 for you, Seer. And mark attention on that theme. What about you, Zynon?
I think Zynon is definitely feeling the like cute charm of it all, and I'm gonna specifically choose student of those before because of a certain charming roguish person that he used to associate with.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to invoke a thin mask as a weakness tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not really fully you that you're invoking here, is it? It's a mask. That's a net 0. Lumira, let's see if I want to hit you with a weakness tag too.
There's no need to. There's no need to. There's no need to at all.
Do it because you're cute.
No,
Lumira
let
rolled
him
a
cook.
3. Wait, actually,
Let him cook, let him cook.
I'm gonna let him cook.
Yeah,
Let him cook. What you got for me?
You're fatigued.
Oh, fuck.
Lumira.
Yeah. Go to
F-
bed.
Yep.
F in chat.
Yep.
F in chat for sure.
All right, so
right.
that's a flat 0 for everybody. Roll that 2d6.
Hey, Connie, I'll see your flat 0 and still tell you that I rolled an 11.
Jesus Christ.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I rolled an 8.
Okay, make success.
Representation matters.
Yeah.
Mediocre he, him.
There's so Lumira rolled a 3. So I think what happens is Lumira there is something about someone that is so confident and so secure in what they know and their intelligence and the way they swing it, like the most beautiful just so Lumira's actively probably drooling just like a little bit at drilling, just like completely spaced.
Okay, so you're distracted by drooling in this moment where everyone's attention is turning to Lu Hua. I love it. You're not focused for once, and maybe it's the fatigue of everything that you're pushing to the side just to focus on the mission at hand, and maybe it's the fact that something about talking to Zhiling outside the hall made you feel something underneath your ribcage that you hadn't felt in 2 months. Just a flutter of it, just a simulacrum of it, an echo of it, but still that's enough, isn't it? So your eyes are drawn away from Lu Hua. The boys, Zynon, Seir, with your weak hit, with your mixed success, you and Zynon can both feel something familiar about Lu Hua, and it's really not a far stretch to say a confident person, someone who smiles and can make other people smile, a charismatic sunrise that everyone wants to bask in the warmth of. Well, I don't even need to say her name, do I? You know who she makes you think of. Zynon, with your strong hit, perhaps Lu Hua is not as naive as she comes off. That bubbly, bursting personality that's always seeking to appease, make everyone happy, perhaps even at the detriment of themselves. This is a person who was most certainly born and raised amidst dozens and hundreds and thousands of scheming gods, and their tactic for defense and offense seems to be charm. And as all of you take this in, drooling sighs. No, apprentice, thankfully we are not involved. You couldn't bed me if you tried. Anyway, I think what the Heavenly Liaison was maybe trying to say is before we make any decisions as a group, all of us should have the chance to present what we've found. So I'd be happy to go next. Yes, please allow me to volunteer. I've been studying the mist firsthand, examining its properties, trying to see if it's the same mist we're used to, but just in greater quantity for some reason, or if there's something fundamentally different about it. So far, I've identified 2 key areas of concern. 1, this mist isn't just dense, it's impenetrable. It can't be dispersed by any means, physical or magical. And furthermore, any magic performed within it is either diminished or unstable or somehow both. I attempted quite a few experiments with my hammer that almost blew my face off, but thankfully the Forge Master was there to catch me and she made me a delicious chicken noodle soup afterward to comfort me. But anyway. With all due respect, little flower, we already knew this about the mist. Anyone who's wandered inside could tell you as much. And you are absolutely correct, gentlewoman scholar. I merely sought to make sure everyone in the council hall was on the same page as each other, given how there are so many rumors flying around, and not all of us can claim a breadth and depth of knowledge as immense as yours. All right, that's enough. Get on with it. But there is a small smile on the edge of Drewling's face. Certainly. So, the second key area of concern is that the mist seems to have a will of its own. Schwinzing's head cocks sharply to the side. Go on. Well, I spent a lot of time in the mist. Like a lot. Probably a little too much. And it seemed to want to coil up my nostrils into my mouth, press through my skin. I felt rather strange being in it for so long. And again, I have the Forge Master to thank for pulling me out of it when I myself was feeling like I was losing myself. I'm not sure what all of this means exactly, but I would advise against standing in the mist for too long, if you can help it. Unease ripples through the gathered gods. And then Langhui speaks, and the congregation settles once more. In the spirit of sharing our findings, here is what I have discovered. My eyes are unable to pierce the innermost depths of the mist, no doubt due to its anti-scrying properties. We have completely lost contact with Yaolan and the underworld. But I have seen more than most. I do not believe the shadows that lurk within these mists to be demonic. They are something else entirely. They possess an aura I have never felt before, and they feel hungry. I have also heard more than most. Strange noises, to be sure. Familiar noises, but twisted in a broken way. Like a lover's scent, but rotted, wilted. More than that, too. The sound of weeping, or an approximation of weeping, gibbering, and lascivious, as though entranced by its own ability to want. Yes, as our fine Forge Master's apprentice has brought up, whatever this mist is, whatever it desires, if it can desire, it is filled with nightmares. At that, a chill settles over the hall. Mu Xuanzing, the head administrator, steps forward. I have findings to share as well. I had a feeling my peers would focus most of their efforts on the mist itself, so I took the liberty of looking into those who were missing. As far as the symbols and your immortal highness are aware, 3 gods are gone. Mingyu, the god of harmonious names, Weijun, the younger sister of the god of harmonious names, and Hun Xiaocheng, the courtier of 4 symbols. I regret to inform all of you that I believe a 4th god has disappeared since we last adjourned. Higher Ping, the former heavenly liaison. Whispers ripple through the throne room. Another missing god? But before panic can spread, the head administrator continues. Upon this discovery, I looked for similarities. Patterns of any kind that might suggest why these 4, out of all of us, were taken. Or perhaps taken first. I looked into any and every metric of identification: ascension year, ascension method, age, domain, skills, ranks, merit holdings, known associates, known stomping grounds, hobbies, habits. Unfortunately, outside of Mingyu and Weijun, who are sisters, there are few, if any, overlaps that can be identified based on records, censuses, and status reports. So I dug deeper. I looked in places that I typically do not like to look, and at that, Chunxing glances at Lang Hui, who raises an eyebrow, and Chunxing continues. I dug into their vices. All of them, except the courtier of 4 symbols, had troubles. I won't sully the names of my colleagues in public with such sordid details, but they all had problems and secrets, let's say. I will leave it at that, unless otherwise prompted by the immortal emperor. And at that, Emperor Longdu raises her head. The exact details are unnecessary, head administrator. But all of us have secrets. It is the nature of being divine. So please, do divulge broad patterns, for otherwise I fear panic will spread. Of course, Your Majesty. In terms of Mingyu and Weijun, there are 9 formal complaints lodged against the god of harmonious names and by proxy her sister, who was present during the issuing of these complaints. These complaints are spread across the course of 3 months between 863 and 864 AG, 7 weeks after Mingyu's ascension and 4 weeks after Weijun's. Nothing major, but all regarding the same topic. The complainants were unsatisfied with the epithets bestowed upon them by the god of harmonious names. After the 9th complaint, there are no more of any kind. To this day, 979 AG. It appears whatever issue the sisters might have been having over 100 years ago was resolved. As for Higher Ping, I noticed an odd pattern in the Ascension Gate records. Between 792 AG and 800 AG, she was recorded as having traveled to Yaolan a total of 2,488 times. That is an average of 311 times per year, more than twice her usual rate, even when she did serve as Heavenly Liaison, which she was at the time. However, the number returns to normal after 800 AG and drops significantly in 801 AG, which is when Higher Ping announced her retirement from the position and Lang Hui took the role. At that, the gathered gods mutter very loudly amongst themselves, and Drooling turns to a stoic Lang Hui with light glimmering in her crimson eyes. Is that so? Fascinating. Yes, it is fascinating, isn't it, how roles tend to be filled after people retire? It is doubly fascinating how roles. It is doubly fascinating how the person whose role you filled conveniently vanished as soon as the mist thickened around the city of heaven. You're not known for leaving loose ends lying around, Heavenly Liaison. How could I have anything to do with this disappearance, Drilling, as it is you who has been a thorn in my side, a constant companion since we last assembled? You admitted so yourself. Unless you're not as powerful as you think you are, perhaps I've escaped from under your thumb, under your watch. Which is it? Are you weak, or are you a fool? At that, Druling's mouth forms into a hard line. There is undeniable truth in Langhui's words, and their eyes sweep across the assembled hall, daring anyone at all to call their position and their values into question. Trinzing continues before Druling can cut in with a rebuke. As for the courtier of four symbols, as I mentioned earlier, I could find nothing of the sort on Xiaocheng. That is all. Emperor Longdu sits back in her throne, considering all of this information, and as she does, an uneasy quiet settles across the hall. I want to know, do any of you speak up in this moment, or do you hold your tongues? There are pros and cons to both, to sharing what you know in a public forum.
I think Zynon pats his clothes, looking to see if he still has on him what I believe he took from the city of heaven before we were mysteriously taken to this mist version of the city of heaven. But for the most part, he's just going to lock eyes with Langhui and keep his mouth shut.
You look at the Heavenly Liaison, you pat your robes, you find nothing of the sort. The only thing you have in your possession are the merits you took from the brother and sister outside the gambling parlor, and your bow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, somewhere between here and there is evidence of what they are discussing.
Yep. Nope. All the documents, not on your person.
Yeah. But yeah, he is keenly focused on what the Heavenly Liaison has to say about this, and specifically thinking about the gourd that Xiaocheng also had, and thinking about all of the pieces. And I think it's not hard to tell that he is doing a lot of math in his head, but he's keeping his mouth shut for now. He's still afraid.
True. Okay. Fair. Fear is still coursing through your body. You lock eyes briefly with those slitted pupils of Langhui, who has glanced over their shoulder to look at the congregated gods, their gaze lingering on yours with that same strange intensity as before, like they're piercing your soul to its very core. And then they look away, turn the back of their head to you, showing only shaved white hair. Sayer, Lumira, do either of you speak up?
Hell no. Nope. Lumira, she knows how to pick and choose her battles, when to say and when not to. This is not the time nor place.
Sayer?
Thayer completes his meal of the bow that's supposed to fill him for 300 years. And as he completes his meal, he taps his foot, attempting to figure out if there's something he could even say. But then he remembers the interesting interaction we had with Lang Hui. Lest he worsen the position the three of us are already in with that. And I think this is exacerbated by the half-truths that are emerging from the discussion before us. You see Sayer's bright blue eyes as he's kind of unlike the rest, I'll give you something, Connie. He's not going to speak up, but he's going to start pacing. He's going to pace from the one end of the room all the way to the other end of the room just to observe the four symbols in the different perspectives so he can actually notice this. This is his instinct finally keying in. Now that there's silence, now that he's alone, he is keyed in. For good, for worse, only we can tell. But this is what Sayer's instinct calls him to do, not what the mask is.
Okay.
And he is just observing Lang Hui, and I think he wants to get to that observation point of, if Lang Hui had this, and this is a vice that's been conveniently leveraged, we should be careful. And now he's just weighing all the pros and the cons of all the information that we're receiving from these candidates.
Okay, I assume you pace vertically up and down instead of across the gap that no one traverses. Because if you step into the gap, everyone's gonna turn to you.
I forgot there was
talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot there was an avenue.
Yeah.
So he's going to pace up and down.
Yes.
I think he passes by Lumira and Zain's backs for a moment, and you both feel that I feel like Sayer's footsteps are very familiar. They're very heavy and purposeful. So you hear him kind of pacing behind you as he attempts to take a look at the symbols' faces to see how each of them are taking in all the information.
Yes, I will give the surface level assertion to you, Sayer, without a roll. As you pace forward, you see the four symbols pull into greater focus. Towering over all of them is Yan Zhiling, the gentlewoman scholar. Her face is proud. There's a bit of annoyance at the latest exchange with Lang Hui on it, but it doesn't seem unfamiliar. These two, the tall, big, broad-shouldered woman and the small, slight, short, heavenly liaison, seem to be used to pushing each other's buttons, let's say. You notice that Twinzing reminds you of Lumira. The way they hold themselves is very focused, straight-backed. They're not even really fiddling with the abacus anymore. They're just looking at the immortal emperor, waiting for her to speak next. Completely zoned in on the mission and the topic at hand. Even these basically lore bombs that the other four symbols are dropping don't seem to ruffle them at all. They just take everything in stride, like they're compartmentalizing it and categorizing it somewhere in the archives of their mind. If anyone had a photographic memory out of these four, it would be Twinzing. As for Luhua, I think your eyes stick on her the longest. Because, well, she's so familiar, her face is so bright, and she wears everything on her face. She gasps when everyone gasps. She, puts her hands over her mouth when everyone does that as well. She, looks between Zhiling and Lang Hui, and she looks, afraid and concerned and hopeful and open, all at the same time. But again, there's something intentional about the openness on Luhua's face. It's not necessarily performative, but it is not done thoughtlessly. That's what you can get by just glancing at them. Would you like to peer deeper?
Yes.
Okay, at all of them or one in particular?
Oh my lord. Luhua. Let's go for Luhua. I think Sayer's entranced by Luhua. I don't think he even understands what's going on. He looks upon Ta, and Tada's face, Tada's brightness kind of just sucks him in, inspires something deep inside him that he thought had died long ago. And yeah, I would like to peer closer. What would I have to do that?
I think, and I want to offer this opportunity to Zainin and Lumira as well, to any of the other three of the four symbols. I think that's going to be a connect roll, but instead of saying something intimate, you need to display a vulnerable, intimate, exposed expression on your face that Luhua will see. And the other two, you all can choose someone to try to connect with as well, or you can not do that in this moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, it's a long way. For Zainin?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. What about Lumira?
Yeah, yeah, Lumira's going to, as well, with
Drilling?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mhm.
Let's circle back to Sayir at the top. So, what intimate emotion do you reveal on your face?
Love. Deep, unadulterated love. Admiration that is the most sincere and the most devoted.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Okay. What tags are you invoking?
I would like to invoke the tags Hollowness, the Chosen One. Let me see what else I have here. I think that's it. I think that's all that I have.
Hollowness in the Chosen One. I'm going to invoke
Mhm.
your weakness tag, scares people.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's a +1. Zynon, what emotion do you wear on your face toward Lanque?
Jeez. I think he's already begun to admire
Oh, wait,
Lanque
no.
because of their office and just like the way that was all set up, and he was already feeling very immersed in their world. And so he looks at Tada's head and begins to almost just like will them to turn around, will them to look at him, and he is actually going to I think reveal even further his untethered existence to them.
Okay. You reveal something of the ghost inside the man, a sliver of the man inside the ghost. What tags are you invoking?
We're gonna just slam that mythos button and do untethered existence, grief's long shadow, and unspoken eulogies.
And I'm gonna hit you with a closed door and haunted by dusty memories.
Oh, we're going twice. Okay.
So that's a +1. What about you, Lumira?
Lumira is looking at Drilling, but her eyes are softer than you've seen them in a while. At first, they're really bright and shiny, and after a little bit of time of just studying them up and down, they get dark, but not in a bad way. Like dark in a severely like aroused way. So Lumira's like, she's doing the thing where she's trying not to exude how unbelievably attracted she is. So she's kind of like fidgeting and like fidgets with her pocket watch. And you just kind of hear the chain of the pocket watch like jingling and the face of it like opening and closing, like clicking consistently.
Okay.
And she's just like biting her lip.
You're shooting pheromones at this woman. Okay, so what tags are you invoking?
I'm literally just going to invoke love is power, actually, I think.
Oh my god. Jesus. Okay, yes, that's the one.
Yeah, just the one.
Sounds good. I'm not going to invoke a weakness tag in that case, I think. All right, we're going to circle back to the top. Sayir, what did you get?
So I rolled a 6 on the die, but I remember we have a +1, and it wasn't a
Yes.
+0, so it's a 7.
Oh, thank God, you have
we
escaped disaster by the
scraped
skin of your
by.
teeth.
What is
Yes.
wrong with our dice?
By the skin of your teeth.
I don't know. They don't like me this arc.
This move reads, on a 7 to 9, they reveal something secret, intimate, or dangerous in return. You look at Lu Hua with open, unadulterated, pure, unfiltered love. Not desire or attraction or anything like that. Love. Pure love. And Lu Hua sees you at first from the corner of her eye, and then she blinks and turns and looks at you. Not fully with her body, but just with a slight cock of her head. She's still focused on the conversation at hand, but then she looks at you, looks away, then looks at you again, does a double take. And their mouth softens, parts a little. Their eyebrows shoot up as seeing this open, intimate expression you're wearing. And the secret, intimate, or dangerous expression they return to you is pity. Deep, genuine pity. Like they've seen something beneath the love, beneath the surface of that sparkling affection. They've seen the grief. Zynon, what did you roll?
Okay, so how does a 12 suit ya?
What the hell? Okay, let's go, Cowboy
Different set
Dad.
of dice. Rolled the same thing again.
Excellent. So, on a 10 plus, you resonate with each other in a true, deep way.
I have a pitch.
Yes.
As Zynon is looking at Ta, and he's trying to will this strange new reality of himself to draw them in. And what travels between them in that space that isn't there, in the ghost realm that he keeps touching, a gust of wind that smells of dust, the sound of grass dry but blowing in the wind, the almost deafening beginning of a roar of tumbling clouds of dust, and laughter from a little girl.
Yes, on a 10 plus, she receives it. And you see the back of her head stiffen, it raises, and she turns to look at you. Zynon, the 3 things you can pick from on a 10 plus are to recover a burned tag, reduce a status by 1 tier, or receive a positive story tag or status from me. Before I continue to describe what our response is, which of these 3 would you like?
I think I definitely want the story tag or status.
Okay. The 2 of you look at each other, and it's like a spear of dust and coldness lancing you straight through the heart. No, not just lancing you, connecting the 2 of you. There is a moment of resonance here. You know that he hears the laughter, he smells the dust, he feels this desiccated wind, and for a moment you can almost see their hair ripple in an unfelt breeze from a world that isn't quite here, but that you're summoning into this reality from sheer force of want, of look at me, of recognize me. And I'm going to bestow the status upon you, bound by death, which connects you and Longhui. You feel something behind your navel, binding you to this person, and on their flat, placid face, you see an expression, a micro-expression, spasm. Like recognizing like. It is a note being hit on one side of the world that vibrates with another note on the opposite side of the world, even if the 2 of you had never seen each other before, even if the 2 of you had no idea who either of you were, you would feel it. This resonance, like understanding, like. You are part ghost, part man? So are they? Something of the sort. Something of ghostliness. Something of the underworld. Lumira, what did you get?
How's a 10, Connie? Is that
Oh
fun?
my god, yes!
What
Yes,
does that
I
get
love
me?
this. That gets you a lot. So that gets you the same thing that Zynon gets, which means you resonate with each other in a true, deep way. So you get to pick one of the 3 as well. Before you do, you see Druling's ear flatten against the side of her skull as she senses you looking at her. She hears your hand fiddling with the pocket watch, opening the cover, closing it, snapping it open, closing it again, and she turns and also looks at you with those dark, bright, crimson eyes. And she's connected with you already a little bit outside the hall. There was some flirting here or there. There was a promise of sharing some time together in her Vermilion library, but here, what you want feels much more urgent, feels much more almost primal and instinctual. So Lumira, which of the three would you like? Recover a burned tag, reduce a status by 1 tier, or receive a positive story tag or status?
I think I'll also take this story tag.
Okay, let me drink because I'm thirsty and think.
I am also thirsty, Connie.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Iconic of you, Sam.
Okay. You hear a voice in your head. As Drooling looks at you, her mouth doesn't move, but it is her, resonating on the surface of your consciousness, a private message wreathed in unfelt flame that nevertheless sends a warmth pooling down through your skull all the way to the pit of your stomach. And Drooling says to you, I want you to meet me tonight in my private bedroom in the Vermilion Library. The password is Phoenix Fallen.
Lumira's eyes bug just for a second. And just as quickly as they bulged, straight face, mask back on. You just see her subtly nod. And she'll turn sharply on her heel and walk over towards the rest of her team.
Yes, the story tag I'm going to give you is password to the library. So even if it changes, you'll have access to what it is. Okay. We pivot back to this confrontation happening at the end of the hall at the base of the dais upon which the immortal emperor sits. Drooling turns away from you, and without missing a beat in this conversation, only a few seconds have elapsed this entire time. Drooling says, Your Majesty, now, more than ever, we need strong leadership. In your infinite wisdom, I beseech you, name your virtue so that they might rule by your side and burn out this thickened mist with fury and force. Your transparent attempt to climb, even now, gentlewoman scholar, in the midst of catastrophe, betrays where your true values lie. Clearly, you care less about the well-being of the city and more about claiming the title of virtue, which you seem so confident you'll obtain, even though all evidence suggests otherwise. Evidence? Present it then, heavenly liaison. Or, wait. Do you have none because your scrying eyes are useless in this mist and your one advantage is gone? Peace, divine fellows! Peace, please! The Emperor raises a hand. That's enough. 4 symbols of the city of heaven, I have heard enough. I charge you with your next task. Acting on the knowledge we have all acquired, gather information and resources that will help us plumb the depths of the mist and search for those we have lost. Protect those unprotected. Unravel this mystery once and for all before it unravels us. And at that, whispers flutter through the grand hall. You hear gods muttering about plumbing the depths of the mist. How dangerous that sounds, but oh, if anyone could do it, it's the 4 symbols and the Emperor herself. And then Longdu speaks once more. That is all. This council meeting is adjourned. And with that, a resounding, thunderous beat of a drum that vibrates through this entire chamber, vibrates past the heavenly palace, past all the pagodas and courtyards of the entire city of heaven. And then the gods begin to disperse. So Strike Team Nova, as everyone starts to filter out of this hall, mingling with each other, talking, a sense of tension released and then also refocused, including the four symbols, you realize you have a chance right now to do a quick rendezvous with each other and to approach one or more of the symbols on their way out or to whatever next destination they're on their way to, if you so choose. So your group can approach the same person together, or you can split up and cover more ground. So how do you quickly touch base if you do, and or which of the four symbols are you drawn toward?
I think Zynon tries to lock eyes on both of them. Never fully leaving Lung Hui out of his vision as much as he can either, though. But he looks to both of you like, hey, let's...
Yeah. Thayer immediately, kind of snaps out of the Lu Hua-related reverie and just kind of, pivots back to the strike team.
Yeah.
This inability to scry sounds familiar.
Whatever. If attempting to scry does anything like it did to me, it's got to be affecting them some way.
Well, that was before. And that scry is different. That's what's going on outside of this. And he motions to the eventide around us.
They're two cities of heaven, there's no doubt about it at this point. The question is, if we've met Xiao Cheng in the other city of heaven, what about the other three? Are they there too? But Xiao Cheng insists they haven't seen head or tail any other god.
I have a guess where our previous liaison is, down in that mayhem. And he looks to Lumira that you saw.
It's a possibility. At this point, we have to run every lead that we can. We still don't know enough.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think I'm going to go ask some questions of our proprietor of that casino.
I've got a few questions myself for the administrator.
All right, I'll head towards the apprentice. Careful, Nova. We're amongst wolves here.
Stay safe. Eyes up.
Keep it close.
Gotcha.
And with that, Strike Team Nova disperses. We follow... This is fun. Why don't each of you roll me a d6?
Okay. Oh, finally a respectable
5.
number.
5 from
Five.
zero.
So 5. Oh my god! Can you roll a 5?
Yeah,
Okay, that
roll you
doesn't
a
help me
die.
at all. Okay, then I'll just decide. Lumira, we follow you through the crowd, cutting your way not toward Zhiling, with whom you definitely have a hot date later, but toward Mu Chunxing, the head administrator. They have stayed, unlike the other four symbols, at the base of the amethyst pool, looking up at the throne, which you now realize with a blink it's empty. Just like that. The Emperor had folded into existence, they have now folded out of existence. Gone on the wind like a butterfly's wings. Chunxing still stands there, though, back, rod straight, looking at that empty seat, their face indecipherable. As you approach, do you introduce yourself, or do you wait to be acknowledged?
Lemira will wait to be acknowledged, but she will make sure that her stride is purposeful. You hear the click of her heels, of her boots, and she'll stand not directly next to the administrator, but will stand in close proximity, mimicking the same body language that is familiar to her. It reflects herself.
Yes, something about it feels familiar. Something about the rigid but not inflexible, the focused but not necessarily blinded way in which Trinzing holds themselves resonates with you. Resonates with how you see and hold yourself in some way as well. And without turning around to look at you, Trinzing speaks and you know they are addressing you. On whose summons did you arrive, Cultivator? I don't believe we've met before.
You can call me Iris for the time being. However, I'm still a bit fuzzy, genuinely, on how I was here, to be honest.
And you are speaking genuinely honestly because you don't know how you arrived in this other city of heaven, so you're pulling on a grain of truth here. And Trinzing seems to sense that. They finally turn to look at you. They openly analyze you. They're not hiding the fact that they're taking you in as their eyes go up, down, and back up to you. Their lip quirked a little when he said Iris. They say, well, I suppose I cannot blame you for feeling wrong-footed here. This dense mist has made even the most focused of my colleagues lose themselves. But I can tell you want answers as well, and you're not going to let anything stop you, are you?
Very little things stop me once I get my mind set to something. However, I am a bit concerned. I wanted to talk to you, see how you saw things around here, your perspective. You mentioned yourself in there that there's multiple different ways of looking at things outside of drilling. So I want to know, what do you think? What is this mist to you? What does it feel like to you?
Trinzing straightens a touch more, being asked for their opinion. You get the sense that as head administrator, they do a lot of bureaucratic tasks, but it feels like a thankless job. Based on how everyone's been interacting with all of the other symbols, you can hear them chattering. Some definitely feel popular, some feel feared, respected, liked, but Trinzing almost feels forgotten in some ways. Not forgotten, unthanked. And it's not like they ask for or expect appreciation for their work. Someone has to do it. But you acknowledging them, they look at you in a different light. Not everyone seems to appreciate the perspective I bring to conversations. Most think that being head administrator means just counting grain and counting merits. Well, the numbers tell a story. And numbers don't lie. The only thing that does lie is how we read them. As for the numbers right now, they're not adding up. Lu Hua is right. This mist is not behaving in any way that makes sense for it outside of... And Trinzing stops short. Their eyelids flutter for a half second, and their face becomes uncharacteristically wrinkled dark, and then it smooths out. That's neither here nor there. But you notice that they had thought of something, but then pushed it away. You're muted.
Thanks. My bad. Lumira notices that and nods gently forward. You are holding back.
You know, it's funny. I've barely even met you, and I feel like I recognize a little bit of myself in you. Which I suppose means I can't hide anything from you now, can I?
Not at all.
It is as the gentlewoman scholar mentioned offhandedly, something about her report stuck out to me like a sore thumb. Like a rotten grain of rice when every other grain is harvested at the peak of its prime. She had mentioned that the mist was similarly thick during the devouring. And Chunzing says the word devouring, like a blade lodged underneath the soft part of their tongue. They spit it out and it's bloody. They don't want to look at it for very long.
As difficult as the topic or memories might be, it probably would be best to pull from all facets of similarities. There may be some overlap. You said yourself the numbers don't lie.
No, numbers don't lie. Numbers never lie. That is why numbers are more trustworthy than gods, mortals, monsters, or demons. Numbers can't hurt you. Only the interpretation of numbers can hurt you. The devouring, it was the one other time I've ever experienced anything like this, mist-wise. Even then, it wasn't quite the same, and I didn't exactly focus on the caliber of the fog around me when the devouring was raging, you understand. I was focused on counting. The deaths, the ascensions, the betrayals, the merits. The amount of blood spilled, the amount of territory gained and lost, the gods felled, the gods born. Counting.
Lumira nods at that, and a slight smirk comes across her face. Not being snarky, but in familiarity. Working to keep from something. Makes sense. You don't... Lumira stops for a second, then turns her attention towards them. Firstly, I want to apologize. I myself was not truthful when we first met. My name is Lumira, not Iris.
Apology accepted, given the rapidity with which you admitted your lie. I was wondering how long it would take you.
It seems like I can't hide anything from you either. If you knew I
No.
wasn't being truthful, why continue to indulge me?
Because it's like we said. Numbers don't lie. I wanted to see how long it would take you. I was counting the seconds.
How long did it take?
23 seconds.
I counted 24, but that's fine. And Lumira chuckles.
Chunzing's mouth twitches in a very close approximation of a smile, and they make a small noise at the back of their throat that feels like it might be a laugh.
This is frightening. It's difficult to feel like you can help when you don't look at everything. And it's also difficult when you feel helpless to save those in the place in which you care about. So, knowledge is important, yes, but so are the numbers. Putting the numbers and the knowledge together can bring much more of a fuller picture than one could imagine or think of. Do not discredit Zhiling. They won't discredit you either.
Do you like that woman?
Yes.
I'm not surprised. She seems to have some sort of magical hold over most of the people of this city, and people beyond as well. Ugh, it's always such an affair when they travel to Yaolan.
I appreciate knowledge and those who know how to wield it.
drilling, let's just say. She wields her knowledge like a flaming longsword. She cuts down and burns to ash anything that stands in her way. Not everyone is so worthy to wield the knowledge she holds. And there's a note of bitterness to what Trinzing says.
Lumira notes that, and she once again smirks, placing her hands into her coat pocket, kind of kicking at the ground with the toe of her, with her toe, digging a little hole into the ground before she looks up. Well, lucky for them, there is not much left standing to cut down. I think I can hold my own now.
I have no doubt. You strike me as someone intelligent and self-possessed. And, best of all, you're not a threat to her. You're not vying for the position of Emperor's virtue, so she is willing to give you the time of day.
It was never my intention. I know I am destined for great things. Destined beyond this.
You seem confident.
I am. Because I know.
And there is something jealous in Trinzing's eyes as they look at you and they see the confidence, the real confidence, Lumira. Jealous not in a dark and bitter way, but in a way that is self-pitying. And for all of the errors that Trinzing is putting on, all of their straight-backedness, all of their focus on logic and data, you see something underneath that mask, a brief swish of motion behind a crack in their facade. They are not a confident person.
Lumira sees that and acknowledges that. Confidence is something that took me a while to build. You front it enough and it genuinely comes naturally.
The domain of power, force, self-assuredness is not in the stars for me. But I am not worried. I have other ways of getting what I want.
Lumira just smiles at that and leaves it there. She knows she gets it, and she's got her own as well. No more needs to be said.
Lumira, as we pause here in this conversation between you and Trinzing, these two similar but very distinctly different people, we pan across the hall to find Sayer. Sayer, you are approaching Luhua, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. As you draw closer to the Forge Master's apprentice, you see that they're surrounded by a group of people that they're talking to, gregariously, reassuringly. You notice that they're seeming to assuage fears and anxieties of a particular clutch of gods. So their back is to you, and they're talking in a very appeasing manner.
Oh, should I do it? Oh, I should. This is for all of the Bible study girlies in the audience today.
Hello?
Sayer,
I
Sayer
don't like where this is going already.
Yeah.
Affectionate.
Oh, what are you doing?
Sayer looks towards the back of Luhua, right? I'm facing their back.
Correct.
And as Sayer approaches, it's like being drawn to sunlight. The moon reflecting the sun's rays. It's only natural, yes? His bright blue eyes are transfixed against that beautiful, beautiful face, that regal stature. How could they not think of her? And I think he reaches out to touch even the hem of Luhua's robe, almost begging, pleading that it might be Sing's. in this moment. And I think he blurts out in this moment, says, Lord Apprentice, and taps against the hem of Luhua's robes.
Val, not even Sayer, Val, that is wretched. That is vile. You're an evil man.
Val, I'm
Okay.
so tired. I'm so fucking
You
tired.
threatened us with Bible school, then you do this?
This is worse. Yes. Okay.
Read the Gospel of Luke, baby!
You tug on the hem of Luhua's sleeve. That half title choking out of your throat before you tamp it down with the proper address. And Luhua raises her head, turns and looks at you. Oh! Recognition flashing in her eyes. She turns back to the minor congregation gathered around her. Please, just a moment, please. I would love to have a private word with my new friend here. And everyone gathered around makes, noises of appeasement and agreeability, and they disperse, leaving you and Luhua alone to have a private word. They turn to face you fully, and they give you a big, sympathetic smile. Hello.
Hi. And Sayer realizes that he didn't prepare the mask before speaking. His tail swishes in anxiety. He touches the corners of the sash that he wears around his torso, and he says, and the mask is put back on. Hello, Lord Apprentice. I apologize. I did not mean to take you away from everybody.
Oh, there's no need to apologize, and you could drop the formalities with me. I'm the youngest of the symbols, one of the youngest of the gods here, period. Luhua is just fine. And you are?
My name is Sayer.
Sayer. That's a beautiful name. What does it mean?
Sayer doesn't know.
Luhua, waits the beat for you to respond, sees no reply is forthcoming. They quickly cover the gap to alleviate any awkwardness. My name is Luhua, Lu as in furnace, Hua as in flower, like a furnace flower. It makes sense. I sprang from a spark of the Forge Master's hammer as it banged down inside the diamond furnace.
Oh, I see. Forgive me, I thought all gods ascended from Yaolan.
Oh, no. Well, a lot of them do, but a lot of us are just born. Made?
Oh.
Leapt into existence.
Understood. Forgive my ignorance. I'm new here. Still figuring
I'm new
everything
too.
out.
You and me both. I assume you're a cultivator?
Yes, I have just arrived.
Luhua nods sympathetically and warmly as you say that. They say, well, allow me to welcome you to our grand city. I promise it's not usually so dark and full of mist. There is a daytime, typically, but it's been a while since the daytime was last here. I'm not sure how long exactly. We can't really seem to agree on how time passes here. It seems rather slow, don't you think? Like we're stuck in congealed kanji. But either way, welcome to our great city.
Seer doesn't know quite what to do here. His mask is clanging against bright light. It's like flashing two candles right at each other, and there's really no space for light to go when there's only light in a room. And he kind of struggles in this position for a moment, and he looks around at everything, this entire city of heaven, time feeling slower and pacing like a slowed heartbeat. I think what you said today was very wise. It seems that everyone's at odds with one another, and you really brought the foundation back from the brink.
Oh, no. I wouldn't say that. It's all because of me, or even partly because of me. All of the symbols are very wise, very powerful, very smart and intelligent. I'm just kind of here along for the ride. But anything I can do to help the city of heaven, I will do. It is my home, and I want my home to be okay. And I want everyone in my home to be okay. And, between you and me, I just wish everyone could get along with each other and be honest with each other. It's like the Forge Master says, if we were all just upfront about who we are and what we wanted, everything would be better.
Sayer lets a laugh escape his lips. that that reminds me of my own teacher. They would.
You have a teacher
say
as well.
something so. Yes.
Are they here in the city?
No, they're far away. Back home.
Oh. Back on the cradle, which, unfortunately, none of us have been able to access since this mist thickened. You must feel lonely, I think.
No, I'm perfectly all right. And he points over to probably when Lumira is having a conversation with Chunjing, and Sidon probably is also at this point having a conversation with Lang Hui, and like gestures over there. They are my fellow cultivators. We ascended together.
Oh, that's incredible. 3 close friends ascending together. My apologies. I didn't realize the two of you were so close. I thought you were strangers, or maybe there was some tension. Maybe I was misreading things.
Sayer feels a lump in his throat, realizing just how observant every god is here, and his tail swishes nervously, and he kind of, without himself knowing, starts kind of like stroking the fuzz at the end of his antlers as his antlers are finally growing in, and he kind of just picks at it for a moment before saying, it's just, everything happening and the tension here with the gods. Your teacher was wise, and so are you. And he realizes he does not know what he wants to say next, and then unconsciously slips back to a Sayerism, to a hunting analogy that he knows. It's easier to pick off a herd when they are split off and separated. Keeping everyone together is of utmost priority if folks are going missing.
That is a very wise thing to say, Sayer. I bet your mentor taught you that.
Yes, they did. They're a huntress.
A huntress? That's amazing. The Forge Master is obviously a smith, but they say that all weapons have a purpose, and I'm doing my best to figure out what my purpose is here. But in the meantime, I think it's to make sure we're all okay in the city.
Sayer instinctively kind of like touches against the leather hilt of the crescent blades and leans into it, standing up. He picks up on what Lu Hua says, almost referring to Tada's self as a weapon. And I think there's an instinct for him to kind of like lean in and ask, and he chastises himself. Sing wouldn't do it this way, not prying into someone open like they are like they're a trove or a crate ready to be smashed into. He should be kind and soft and gentle. And instead he says, I see, but you said you were new, young, right? How did someone so young become a virtue? Isn't being a virtue candidate a really big deal?
Oh, it is. It is a big deal, and perhaps you're right. Perhaps I'm not worthy for the title.
No, don't misunderstand me.
Oh, no. I'm not offended whatsoever. I think you are absolutely right to question my age. I'm barely 200 years old. Very young. I'm sure I'm much younger than you yourself.
Sayer is kind of taken aback and realizes that if there is an age equivalent, he doesn't know what the conversion is. He wasn't briefed on this. Sometimes that happens in planes. And I think there's a moment where he, like, 404 blue screens for a moment and then just says, I think I'm younger. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, surely you must have been so focused on your hunting studies and practices that the years passing were like beads of water going over a rock. Most wise and most dedicated to your craft.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. Sayer's bad at lying, and if someone is going to help him do that, he's just going to accept the help and take the
Yes.
excuse that's been given to him.
Luhua's helping you save face for yourself,
Mhm.
right? They're very
Mhm.
good at this. She kind of just steps in and helps you fill the gaps without making you feel bad about yourself. And
Yep.
Luhua goes on to say, either way, I suppose it's my craft at the forge that has elevated me to the status of a symbol, of a candidate of one of the Emperor's virtue. I don't like to boast or speak too well of my own abilities, but I have been working at the forge ever since I sprang into existence under the spark of the Forge Master's hammer, and I've been doing everything I can to live up to that, live up to the title of apprentice. Your crescent blades are beautiful.
Yes, and he kind of unsheathes them from his belt and kind of holds it, assessing it and kind of allowing Luhua to take a look
May I?
upon it. Yes, of course. And he hands over one of the crescent blades for Luhua's assessment.
They take one of them and they balance it, and you instantly can tell, just based on how they're holding the weapon, that they are an expert when it comes to these tools of violence and intention. They kind of like balance it against the handle, against the blade. They hold it, they twirl it, and they do a few cuts with it as though they were used to fighting with a crescent blade. And then they hold out their other hand. May I see the sister?
Certainly. And he unhooks it from his belt. He's never heard them being referred to as siblings, and he notes it in his head and passes it over.
She takes it and she does like a few forms with it. Wow, they're light like wind, but you hear that and they clang the blades against themselves, and there's like a pure like note ringing out. Resonance, perfect harmony, peerless. Say, I would need to get this approved by the Forge Master, but would you be open to me awakening these?
Awakening?
I think
Them?
they want to be awakened. I can feel it. They have the potential. Can't you? Here. And Luhua holds both of the handles back to you.
I take them in my hands and I look upon them, and Sayer kind of like holds them, flicking them between the wrist. Do I?
You can still feel the blade vibrating from where Luhua clanged them against each other, holding this wrapped handle. And you're not sure if it's just the vibration from the metal singing, or if there's something deeper inside the blades. Maybe by the fact that you are in the city of heaven. Maybe by the fact that you're surrounded by mist and the font of magic. Maybe by the fact that someone has actually told you to just listen for once to your blades, which you have been loath to touch since Sing died. But you feel something deep in the core of that metal, wanting to be let out.
I hear it. I hear them. He doesn't mask that surprise, that shock.
Huh. Well, then why don't you find me at the White Forge after this? It's not such an easy case to just awaken weapons. There's a lot of merits that go into it. And I hear you already owe the Heavenly Liaison quite a lot of merits. Word travels rather fast around here. Why don't you come and work at the forge to earn some coin, if you'd like? A lot of our usual helpers have left in the midst of all this mist. Pun not intended. So it'd be nice to have another pair of hands working the furnace, and maybe if you prove yourself to the Forge Master, she'll let you awaken your weapons.
I think Sayer recognizes this. The throwing of a lifeline when one is drowning, it feels so warm and familiar. It reminds him of her. The way the many times he's found himself in a deep pit, and it's her hand that has reached out to pull him out. Yes, Lord Princess Luhua, that would be amazing. I would love to pick your brain more on everything.
Excellent, yes, and I would love to get to know you more as well, Sayer. Why don't you come with me? Let's try to find the Forge Master. Forge Master, there's someone I'd like you to meet. And Luhua grabs your hand and starts pulling you through the crowd. And as
Sayer
you are...
relents.
Yes. As you are familiarly tugged along by someone a lot more assured and forward and bright than you are, we pan across the crowd one last time to find Zynon Esh. Zynon, you've been making your way toward Langhui, the Heavenly Liaison, and unlike Druling, who is surrounded by so many people, and Luhua, who was also surrounded by people, even unlike Mu Chunjing, who was given like a respectful birth by most of the other gods in here, Langhui is like a inverted black hole who repels all of the other divines. It's like they have an aura, no, a miasma vibrating off of his form that just dares anyone to step in his way. He's loitering by a jade pillar, looking at everyone, observing everything as the crowd disperses and the Emperor vanishes. And he sees you well before you even decide to walk over to her.
Zynon can tell when someone is looking at him for the most part. Also because there's no one else around him to hide. That Longhua is staring at him. So Zynon kind of falls into this ease that is not his normal pace. And there is a swagger to it as he pulls the merit out from inside of his clothes and just begins to roll it between his fingers as he saunters over.
Langhui is leaning against the pillar. The white snake is hissing and rolling across Ta's shoulders. Ta's eyes were fixed on you for half a second as you started to approach, but then she looked away, those slitted pupils falling onto the ground as they relax their stance. And as you approach without looking at you, Langhui says, "You feel it too, don't you? You don't belong here."
No point in putting up any pretense about it. Yeah.
You are not exactly as you seem, cultivator. Few are able to step into the realm of spirits, and yet you do it like it is second nature, or perhaps first nature, and your mortality and your cultivation is a mask.
I couldn't help but notice that only you can see it, can feel it.
Well, of course. I was once a demon after all.
Zynon looks her over. Not really hiding it. Fully from the top of the snake head all the way down to their feet. He looks Ta over. Astonished, but not afraid. You'll have to forgive me. I'm new. The story is not one I've heard.
Well, you'll hear it sooner or later. Whispered in dark alleyways, slipped out from lips loosened by plum wine. I, the unworthy heavenly liaison, was born a monk on Yaolan, I was not a very good monk, you see. After all, I desired. That's the last thing a good monk should do. Desire. I wandered around, figured out that if mortality didn't hold what I was looking for, perhaps divinity did. And after I ascended, I had a choice, as all gods do, the city of heaven or the underworld. And they lift their hand with a flourish, and you realize that the cold coin of the merit is no longer in your palm. It's between their fingers. I flipped a coin. Heads, I would go to the city of heaven. Tails, I would go to the underworld. It landed on tails.
No regrets, though, right?
You learn quick. Good. Everyone in the underworld does. It is a den of debauchery. A den of fun and worship and nostalgia. Ancestors and incense and sex and food. It served me well for a few hundred years. But then I, again, grew restless. So the city of heaven it is.
Where you can scry and learn all the secrets that they're hiding because they're doing all the same things up here.
Oh, secrets, secrets. Everyone has secrets. Not everyone knows how to keep them. My talents are a means to an end. We all have our strategies for surviving this game. And based on how they say game, you can tell it's capitalized. They're not just using it as a metaphor, they're referring to something that means something in the city of heaven.
You'll have to forgive me again, but this game, the Emperor is also involved. What is it exactly?
Are you trying to flatter me by giving me the opportunity to give you a 101? Either way, I'll bite. Well, as everyone knows, our great immortal emperor ended the devouring almost 1,000 years ago. I believe we're just over 20 years short of the 1,000-year anniversary of that epoch's end. And now we're in the age of the game. Cannibalism of the divine scale is outlawed. We wage proxy wars using mortals as champions.
That's it? That's the game?
Yes. And the game pieces are the mortals, and the hands that move them are gods and demons. A much better alternative to the devouring, where the hands sought to throttle each other, and the chessboard was in pieces at our feet.
A flare of that fear rises in Zynon very suddenly, thinking of people as chess pieces, thinking of all of the words that he has replaced the shape of a hand reaching out to sing. And he crushes that back down again, but there's no way that it doesn't show up on his face for a flicker. This game... There's people caught in the middle.
There's always people caught in the middle. We are but shadows flitting down the current of fate.
The word fate slaps him across the face, and he sets his jaw, trying to not express, but he is still, his heart is racing, and he holds his hat very firmly under his arm. And he's so engrossed in trying to not show it on his face that the brim of his hat curls as he grips it tightly. The gambling is just a play compared to all of that, don't you think?
Quick above the table, did you say plague or play?
Play.
Okay, cool. That would have changed my interpretation of what you were saying. Okay,
Yep,
cool.
uh-huh.
The gambling is a reminder of a home that used to be. Nothing more. You see, there are many such parlors, many such pleasure dens in the underworld. Perhaps it's a little bit of the sentimentality I have left. A little grain of the mortal I used to be still lodged inside my heart.
And still, that's where other things happen. I might have seen a thing or two about a scuffle. Maybe before the mist came in.
Lang Hui cocks her head to the side, looks at you with those intense, slitted black pupils. A scuffle, you say? Would you care to elaborate?
Your office wasn't exactly neat the way you left it, right?
You got the chance to look through my office now, did you?
I'm not exactly tethered to one point.
Well, whatever you think you saw, I recommend you not linger on it for too long.
I will take your warning in the kind way that you are offering it.
Of course, just a friendly heads up. Though, there is something about you. Zynon, was it?
Yes, Zynon.
Your face. There was a flicker across it. Earlier in our conversation, you were thinking of someone, weren't you?
Aren't we all just haunted by the faces of those that we carry with us?
Some of us might be. Perhaps most of us. Others prefer to bury those faces deep, deep, deep down inside where the sun can't reach. But what's interesting about that, Zynon Ash, is how it manifests in the mist. You see, even as a mortal, I was cursed with the ability to see people's last words floating above their heads, taunting me, reminding me. See, that's not too strange for me. I can see your last words above your head. But what is odd are the additional words. Someone else's words floating around you and the other two cultivators you came in here with. Tell me, Zynon Ash, from whose lips did "she was right" fall?
Someone that we cared about very much.
That much is evident. They haunt you still. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anything quite like it. Lingers on you. I can almost smell it. What is that? Cherry blossoms.
You got a point.
There's something else, too. I don't think it's from the same source. Feathers. Feathers of some sort of bird-like beast. Not a divine beast of the city of heaven. Something I don't think I've ever seen before. Not from the underworld or the cradle, either. You really are a long way from home, aren't you?
Your gift is quite remarkable.
Yes, it is extremely remarkable, so be careful what you share of what you think you saw in my office.
We'll just hold on to our secrets amongst us.
Perfect. Like I said, everybody has secrets. Let's keep it in both of our best interests not to let each other's spill. Yes?
Yes, and I also will keep a few other things I noted that you left out of your presentation today.
Longhui's eyes narrow. Oh, I do not take well to being threatened, Zain and Esh.
Not a threat. Just a promise. Gotta keep me and mine safe.
Then it's a deal. And Longhui extends a hand for you to shake.
And Zainin reaches out his gauntleted hand.
Their hand is cold and dry, like the bank of a parched up river. And as you shake and you squeeze their fingers against yours, all three of you hear, piercing the hall like a javelin to the heart, a scream. It is a scream unlike any you have ever heard before. It is a keening, desperate, gibbering yowl that sounds like it was torn from the innermost sanctum of your deepest, most violently repressed nightmares. And just like that, the mist is everywhere. It obscures the amethyst pool which surrounds the throne. It obscures the pillars of jade that rise toward a steepled ceiling. It obscures the panicked, shouting gods who mill within the vaulted hall of the Emperor's throne room. You suddenly can't see more than 3 fu ahead of yourself. Stick your arms out and your fingers are lost. And that's when the monster attacks. And we're gonna cut the break there. So thank you all so much for tuning in so far to the first half of our stream tonight for Arc 2. We'll be back in 10 minutes, 10, 11 minutes or so. So enjoy the highlight reel on TikTok if you're watching on TikTok, as we're back in about 11 minutes. And enjoy a word from our sponsors and the fan art reel on our Twitch and our YouTube. Love you all so much. Pisho. nerds, are you looking for high-quality fantasy maps for your next tabletop campaign? Cheipeku has you covered. Get your hands on more than 4,000 hand-drawn fantasy maps and battle maps that will take your campaign sessions to the next level. Che and Peku are a couple who love maps. That's their passion, and they're so good at it. They create unique and original worlds with outlandish themes and ideas you won't find anywhere else. Cheipeku maps have the imagination to match yours. Cheipeku's archive has more than 4,000 original hand-drawn maps, with map packs added every week that include variations for seasons, weather effects, and even time of day. So if your players spend the entire session in a tavern role-playing with NPCs, you can seamlessly switch to nighttime. Cheipeku even offers fully mapped multi-level dungeons, animated maps with cool terrain effects, and seamless integration with the most popular virtual tabletops out there, including Alchemy RPG, Roll20, Foundry VTT, Encounter Plus, Fantasy Grounds, and more. Their maps even come with wall and lighting effects for Foundry VTT, letting you plug and play as quickly as possible. If this sounds appealing to you, because I know it sounds appealing to me, head over to Cheipeku's Patreon today and get access to their full archive of over 4,000 maps for as little as $5 a week. Use !Cheipeku in chat to get a link to their Patreon and tell them Transplaner sent you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of this Arc 2 stream on Transplanar RPG if you are on Twitch or YouTube or at Baikaichang on TikTok. So before we hop right back into the action, a reminder of one of our sponsors, Cheipeku. They are an incredible company that creates unique, imaginative, and outlandish TTRPG maps you won't find anywhere else, with dozens of variations and effects like weather or time of day. You can also use VTT integrations to make your worlds come to life. We're in fact using Cheipeku scenes for all of Arc 2. You can see in the background of the Twitch stream, it's a beautiful illustrated scene that has time of day variations and seasons and whatnot that we might be playing with as we move in and out of the mist. So to learn more about Cheipeku's stuff, go to cheipeku.com and pledge to their Patreon today for as little as $1 per map pack or $5 per scene pack, I believe, to start. Or it might even be lower than that. But they have Cheipeku scenes and Cheipeku maps. So go to cheipeku.com and tell them Transplanar sent you. And now, before we hop right back into the session, just a reminder of content warnings for this episode. So our show is a dark fantasy TTRPG show, which means we may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. So content warnings for this session may include fantasy violence, grief, trauma, depictions of heights, complex and complicated relationships, visions, memory loss, romance, guns as weaponry, alcohol and drug use, monsters and monstrosity, body horror, blood, ghosts, and dimensions of cannibalism, snakes, and death of loved ones and family. So, if you're in the Twitch chat, use !CW at any time to get a look at our content warnings. And if you're on TikTok, just go to the link in my bio to learn more about our show, including being able to watch it from the very beginning of the Chaos Protocol, which is the campaign you're watching now. We're using City of Mist. All right. And now, let's hop right back into the session. From the bone-white depths of swirling mist that ensconce the Hall of Peerless Destiny, the monster attacks. You can hear it screaming, a high-pitched, wailing, ear-splitting noise. It cuts through the muted mist with spectacular force. You can hear its blows, yes, blows, landing on the floor, crashing against pillars, muffled in the mist like an arrow hitting water. The gods around you, though you can't see them, that's how thick this fog is, are screaming, panicking, fleeing. At least that's what you think is happening. You can't even see the rest of Strike Team Nova. But one thing's for sure. There is a beast in this fog, and it is hunting you. So Zynon, Lumira, and Sayer, I need each of you to take the status marked for death 2. Would any of you like to try to resist it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
No.
Lumira? You're muted.
I literally just realized that. Yeah, I would like to attempt to resist it for sure.
Okay, so this is a move I wrote. It's a rift move that says resist a status. When you resist taking a negative status, describe how your logos or mythos flares to protect you and roll plus tags. So Sayer, how is that logos or mythos flaring up to protect you?
Sayer is trained by the hand of Fate Artemis, the great huntress themselves. So Sayer's logos, I think, is what's peering up in this moment of we are being hunted. I'm trained to protect Nova. I'm about to protect Nova, and Nova needs me at my best. So I think that's what he is tapping into. We only get to choose one, right?
All right.
Not both?
Yes, just one of them. So
Gotcha.
which of your tags would you like to invoke here?
I will invoke Bulwark under my little hunter logos.
Okay, that makes sense. Bulwark, anything else?
Yeah. I know how to hunt, so I know how it is to be hunted. So
Okay.
I'll take how to hunt, Bulwark, not Crescent Blades. I think this is just him reacting to the moment and not using his weapon.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can inflict any... Ooh!
It is just a weapon and self-sacrifice.
That's
right there
true.
for you.
I'm going to actually inflict Battered, which is a status You took a while back when you were flung back on the bridge and fell onto your bodies before you met Xiaozhang.
yes.
So that's gonna be, I'm invoking that status, so that's a -1. So in
Okay.
total, that's a
-1.
+1 for you. Yes, your body is battered, your mind is still a little shaken. So Lumira, how does your Logos or Mythos flare to protect you?
Make sure I was on mute again. So while Lumira also as well is very much a child that's trained by Artemis, however, she's got this really nifty little power now that is, in times of high stress, sometimes flare without her necessarily knowing it. So I am going to go on ahead and use control of time as well as shielded by time as well.
Okay, that is a +2. I'm going to invoke Haunted.
Okay.
You have that status from earlier, Haunted 2. So that's going to bring you back down to a 0.
Okay.
All right. So the two of you, roll for it. Sayer, what did you get?
4.
4. Oh, no. Lumira, what did you get?
I got a 10.
Okay. So let's do Lumira first. On a 10+, you fend off the brunt of the effect. Take the status, but with -1 tier. So you are marked for death 1. Sayer, on a 6-, your attempt to defend yourself backfires. Take the status and choose 1. The status has +1 tier. Burn one of the power tags you invoked. Or mark fade or crack on a theme of my choice.
Mark a fade or crack on a theme of your choice, Connie. Of course.
Okay. I'm going to have you mark... Let's see. Crack on Little Hunter.
Gotcha.
Okay. How this looks is such. As the mist thickens and the beast descends, and bedlam and panic rings through this hall, Sayer, Zynon, and Lumira, the three of you see in your own corners of the hall a pair of what look to be circular lights glimmering into existence somewhere deep within the mist, coming closer and closer. And every time you see this pair of circular lights sat very close next to each other flash in front of your eye, it resonates a deep primal fear that stirs inside your gut. This fear may or may not belong to you, but it is there. It is caused by the flashing, the blinking of those mirrors, lights, eyes. It's the beast. It has seen you, and it has marked you. You feel it. Exposed. A target. A prey animal. So now that we've resolved these statuses, Sayer, I think what it means to crack with Little Hunter is you are so used to being the hunter here, but now the roles are reversed. You are the one that's being hunted. Let's start with Zynon, who did not roll to resist. As you stand there, your hand is still clasped in Lang Hui's hand as the mist thickened and swirled around you, and you can't see Lang Hui, even though you're literally an arm's length away. And you feel their hand kind of tighten around your fingers, and you hear their voice, though it sounds muffled, like it's multiple feet away instead of right in front of you. The beast. And you feel their hand start to let go of yours.
Zynon holds it firm. He tries to hold on to her hand.
What are you doing? I need my hands free to defend myself.
Fine. And he lets go, and in one fluid motion, he takes his hat from under his arm, tucks it into his quiver behind him, and draws an arrow in his right hand.
Zynon, flash, flash. Flash, flash. You see those two spheres, orbs of light, blinking into existence in the mist. Everything's white here, even those orbs, but they're just a little bit brighter than the rest of the fog. You see them flitting from left to right, up and down, east to west, south to north, and everywhere they flit, you hear screams ringing out, blows smashing against the floor. Bedlam and panic spreading, though you can't see or hear more than just this muddled, confused haze. Flash, 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 flash. And then you see them start to come closer toward you. You hear Langhui go, "Kah. What is this? No, there's something wrong here." Gah! And a noise of effort. And you see something shadowy flash in the air where Langhui might be, but then the fog closes in again, and it completely muffles the darkness that had just been slashed open.
Zynon is kind of now in motion, like he started to spin, or like a breeze kind of blowing through, and after he pulls that arrow, his left arm actually slips out from his kimono, and as the sleeve falls, he pulls up that birdsong bow in his left hand, and the arrow, you can hear it clap against the side of the bow as he looks around for his shot, not even raising or drawing the bow, but he just stops and listens, trying to filter out the screams, trying to ignore all of it. He's a hunter too.
So, are you just trying to track this beast through the mist, or do you act?
I think he wants to discern a little bit more about it before he shoots.
Okay. Yes. I think that's going to be either gaze into the mist or investigate. So are you relying on your senses, or do you want to kind of plunge into the fog that surrounds you?
I think he's gonna stubbornly cling to his regular person senses. So he's gonna try and investigate.
Okay, technically this would count as a new location. It is the hall, and we haven't investigated this yet, and it is filled with mist. So when you investigate a new location, describe how you search for clues and roll 2d6 plus tags.
Zynon has very keen ears. He's very good at listening for danger. That's what he's done his whole life. So I would like to use Sentinel against the ending, Survivalist, and Student of those before.
Okay. I am going to invoke Haunted by Dusty Memories. Yeah. So that's going to be a +2 total. Roll for it.
Oh, no. Hey, +2 total is great. That's a 7.
Okay, good. Much needed. You needed that exactly to bump that up from a miss. So on a 7 to 9, the GM will describe the area's general ambiance and any prominent features that your trained senses notice. You take in this entire mist-cloaked hall. There's clearly a beast in here, stalking the gods here, and based on how those twin mirrors, let's say, are flashing, it seems to be able to traverse freely through the mist, as though the mist itself were its domain. It's unbound by needing to run or fly or jump. In 1 second, you see those twin mirrors way off to your right, and then in the other, they're all the way on the other side of the hall again. And wherever those mirrors flash, you hear thumps, you hear shrieks, you hear screeches, and you hear shouts from gods. It's going all over the hall, and it's taking its pick of the litter. Any prominent features you might notice? Yes. You get its attention. Flash, flash. Those mirrors appear not 10 bu away from you. If you reached a hand out, it would be 2 arms lengths away. And then those flashing orbs turn to you, and you realize exactly what they are. They are eyes, Zynon. they are eyes. And swirling out from the mist, a form begins to take shape. You see a thick, fog-made mane rippling past a twisted, angry, bestial face with sharp fangs made of mist and a long, black tongue flickering out of its mouth and flicking back in. You see a body that is proud and once noble, but now shot through with strings of pure darkness. It is shadow and mist, light and shade, bound together in one. This is a stone lion, stepping out of the fog made of pure mist. But it is also not quite a stone lion, because its eyes are mirrors, Zynon. And you see yourself reflected in them as though they were headlights and you were a deer caught right in its axis. And it makes a distinctly not lion-like noise, and out from its mouth is a word. It's trying to wrench. It's directing it right at you as its powerful mist-made claws slam onto the ground and crack the beautiful flagstone of the hall beneath its powerful pounce. Closed! Closed! Door! Ghost! Knife!
Zynon stands there, braced, and was ready to draw. And he hears words. Closed door, knife. And I think... I think he's going to try and stalk it and not attack it. He wants to hear if it has more to say, but he will attack it if it attacks other people.
Okay. It says those 4 words. Closed door, ghost, knife. Each of those words punching into you, Zynon. I need you to increase marked for death 2 to marked for death 3. Will you try to resist this?
Yes.
Okay. How does your logos or mythos flare to protect you?
I think he rolls the words around, and as he does, that knife keeps beating in his head, and he keeps on thinking about what he just was. He was just a ghost tethered to a knife. But he's not afraid of that. And he draws strength from being at the side of a saint for 2 months. And he's going to try and resist it by holding on to, if you guys don't have an objection, I would like to use our crew tag, Artemis, the Hand of Fate.
Go for it, yes. So roll 2d6 plus 1, unless you would also like to invoke a power tag.
I'm going to say Untethered Existence.
Okay.
'Cause that's kind
Go
of
for
what
it.
this is drawing on. 9.
Okay, on a 7 to 9, you take the status as it was
Yeah.
intended. No loss, no gain. So drawing on Artemis's lessons roots you. It's not worse than it would have been, but you are also hit, every word like a stab, right to the center of your soul. Marked for death, 3. And as you stand there looking into these mirrors, you see your own face reflected back at you. What is the expression you see yourself wear?
He sees his Ema's eyes. That shepherd, ready to stand between the monsters in the night and the flock. They're never far.
As you gaze into this reflection of your Ema's eyes, standing your ground against this beast, it pounces. And on it, pouncing towards you. In a swirl of mist, we fly across this hall to find someone else materializing out of the fog. Sayer. You are hearing panic. You're hearing shouts. You're hearing blows raining down and horrible, horrible shrieks. Lumira, Zainan, you have no idea where they are here. And you are also being tugged along. Your hand is also in the hand of Lu Hua as this mist had descended, and you had almost bumped into them as she stopped, like froze, as soon as the fog thickened.
Lu Hua. My team. Zainan! Lumira! Sayer's desperate cries out to Nova, trying to pinpoint where they are. He can't see like 3 Boo in front of him, right? Like that's how intense this fog is.
Yes.
And he's feeling that wall closing in and the exchanging of blows. He feels like a cornered animal. His antlers are lowered like a buck ready to fight for its life. He grasps onto the crescent blades like a prayer, and he is wild-eyed. I don't think he has a handle on this. He's never been hunted like this before with a redness. It was so plain. The fiery path blazed before him, not like this, not in silence, not in shadow.
I like that a lot. As you freeze there, panic and fear beginning to seize through your body. You feel insistent, comforting, centering hands clasp onto your shoulders, and Lu Hua is looking at you like with intense focus ringing in her bright, earnest, warm eyes. Hey, Sayer, it's going to be okay, all right? I'm going to just call out and Forge Master? It's okay. Just stay here. As long as we stick together, we're gonna get through this okay. And then coming out of the fog is not a monster, not a beast, but the Forge Master. Gang Shuijiang, you see this tall, burly, muscular woman with tufts of fur along her exposed elbows all the way down her spine, those 2 tiger-like ears swiveling in every direction for danger. They don't even look at you, Sayer. They grab onto Lu Hua and they say in a gruff, insistent voice, "Apprentice, we need to get to safety, now." "Oh, yes, Forge Master, of course, but Sayer..." And the Forge Master just grabs Lu Hua as though scruffing her and pulls her into the mist, leaving you alone.
Sayer's alone again. He is alone again, and all he can hear is the thrumming of the white, hot blood beating within his chest, a primal strength and power. Connie, I tap within. I don't think he knows it. I don't think he understands it. But he is in danger and he is frightened.
Okay.
And he lets it out.
Okay, I think you're channeling your power here. Yeah, it's just bursting out from you. So when you channel your mythos or logos to overcome an obstacle, reshape the environment, or extend your senses, describe how your power flares and roll 2d6 plus tags.
I am using specifically Doom Incarnate. As Sayer is sitting there, his eyes wide, panicked, a primal fear taking grip upon his heart and his soul. And I think how it takes form is Sayer's form changes a little bit. Bits of thick, hardy fur kind of pop out onto his chest, his shoulders, his forearms. His antlers curl outwards like a pointed bramble of thorns. And his teeth lower like fangs, like the tusks of a stone lion. And I will roll 2d6 plus tags. I will choose Monstrous Countenance. I won't use Hungry Form. I'm only allowed to pick out from Mythos, right? Specifically?
No, actually, there's no limitation. Okay. You can pick as many tags as you want across. Yep.
Fantastic. Monstrous Countenance, How to Hunt, and can't be surprised because I'm in such high alert right now.
Okay.
If something's going to come after me, they're just going to come after me. I'm no longer surprised.
I'm going to invoke Weak to Gods as a weakness tag.
That's fair.
So that's a +2.
+2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Finally, right.
Oh my god, okay. So on a 10 plus, the effect is exactly as intended. So what is the effect here that you're attempting to do?
Sayer's intended effect is that he wants to grab hold of something that is engaging in violence, whether near him or upon a god that's near to him, grab it by the scruff and pull it in front of him and just start brawling and ripping into it in a monstrous and primal way. And
You
he's
want
just
this...
growling and snarling at it.
Okay. So you want the doom sweeping out from you as your form changes to basically act as like a vacuum, pulling in whatever this beast is so it faces you and you are tackling it head on, correct?
Correct.
Okay. As you metamorphose, essentially, your fangs getting longer, your antlers lengthening and turning bramble thick, it's as though you yourself are exuding an aura of monstrosity, of disaster. Calamity. And you, just like Zynon, you see those two mirrors, those eyes, those mirror eyes flashing in the mist around you. Closer and closer and closer and closer to you, and then launching itself, not a surprise to you, you knew exactly where it would emerge, launching itself out of the mist in your direction is a stone lion made of mist. And you feel its divinity? But something about it has been transformed, Sayer, just like you are in this moment. Something about it has been tethered into the mist itself. It roars and launches itself at you. And as it does, you hear the shriek coming out of its mouth. Just like how Longhui had described it, like a lover's name, but wilted and rotted. It's something familiar, but it feels inverted. It feels like it's been twisted, so nothing but the dark side of it remains. And you hear yourself tumble out of its mouth, a title that you yourself have been desperately in denial to claim. Doom! 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 And this lion punches into you. As the
That's not me!
Slam.
The two of you collide. Like an unstoppable force breaking against an immovable object. And as the sonic boom of it resonates outward, we slam across the hall to find Lumira. Lumira. Twinsing is suddenly out of sight. There were no more than 2 or 3 boo in front of you. Now they're completely gone. And everywhere around you hear shouting, you hear what sounds like an explosion, you hear screaming and shrieks, and even though we have heard what these stone lions, or the same stone lion, whatever it is, have addressed Zynon and Sayer as, all you hear is soundless, wordless shrieking. What do you do?
I've seen those eyes, yes? Like the
mirror eyes? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
As you scan the mist, you see them just flashing.
Lumira tenses and freezes. Extremely unlike her. It's different when she has sight on the battlefield. It's different when she can see what it is she is fighting. Now it's another dangerous, nameless threat. And I think she just scurries and backs to a wall, breathing for a second, feeling that same incessant thudding in her chest as she did when she was 8. She doesn't feel this type of fear anymore. So she panics and does the only thing she can think to do. She tries to call Artemis on the Oracle again.
You move to summon it. You slump against a wall, a pillar, some broken bit of something, and you try to summon it. You tug onto the feeling that all trans agents were taught as soon as they entered the agency, how to summon the Oracle, how to summon that direct line to the one person you've always known you can count on, and nothing happens. Nothing happens, Lumira. You are completely, utterly alone.
Think. Stay here! And Lumira runs blindly towards where she can... where she last heard his voice rang out from.
Excellent. So Lumira, I'm gonna need you to tempt fate. So you're doing something really dangerous and risky here. So when you tempt fate with your actions, describe what perilous feat you're trying to accomplish and roll plus the number of mythos cards you have. So I assume the perilous action is trying to get to Sayir safely?
I had another idea, but yeah, we'll say that.
Okay, no, tell me your idea. What's your idea?
No, so I wanted to get my plan was, if I couldn't get to Artemis, I was going to try to get to Sayir. I know Sayir, whatever is here, Sayir is trying to fight head on, because that's just what they do. So I'm trying to get to him and once again try to bubble whatever it is that's there in Eliminal.
Like contain the monster in Eliminal? Okay, so before we even get to there, we need to get through the fog, because we don't know where we're going. We're running without a map here. So roll plus the number of mythos cards you have.
Okay. Mythos cards. Cool. I know math, I swear to God. 9.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, you triumph over this specific ordeal, but attract the attention of your enemies. They react immediately. I think I know what this means. Lumira, against all motherfucking odds, you barrel your way across this mist-wrapped battlefield. You barely see obstacles, two heartbeats before they appear in front of you, swimming out of the fog like an inch away from your face, but you're able to hop over gods that stumble in front of you, screaming, and then they're gone again. You're able to hop over what appears to be crumbled pieces of jade pillar. In fact, you see a shadow fall down, and you're able to dodge across it right before some part of the hall crumbles and smashes across the floor. You're able to dodge across piles of panicked, screaming gods trying to find an exit but slamming into each other instead. And you, in fact, even run just in time to feel something swoop through the air behind you. If you had moved just a second too late, it would have collided into you completely. And it's like this, just running through this unseen, confused, chaotic fog, that you're able to find your way to Sayir. As this is happening, Sayir, this stone lion, mist-born creature, had been moments away from colliding into your body. You were just about to face it head-on when it disperses into mist right around you. And Lumira, you step into a slight clearing formed by the pressure of the aura that Sayir was exuding. So you can see him more than 3 boo away. You see him perhaps 10 boo away from you. And you see him looking very different from the last time you remember laying your eyes upon him. And he seems to be almost in like a fighting stance, but there's nothing in front of him. And then the mist coagulates in front of you. And it's like the mist lion had basically fallen into an unseen portal and then come out the other end and is now barreling into you instead. And it hits you. That's what it means. The attack of your enemies react immediately and barrel onto you. And I need you to take Corrupted by Mist 2. Would you like to resist it?
Muted, my love.
Oh, you're muted, Sam.
You are muted.
You're muted, my beloved.
God
You're too in it.
Shit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna attempt to resist it. Hold on
Okay.
1 second, let me put it on this sheet. You said corrupted by the mist?
Corrupted by Mist 2.
This is just fucking lovely, isn't it? Okay, gonna resist. Going to roll plus my tags. I'm absolutely going to use control of time, creating liminals, and shielded by time as well.
Okay, so you're specifically trying to use chronergy to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is your mythos flaring in this moment as it barrels into you?
I think Lumira is still very much on edge, and when she feels whatever it was trying to seep its way into her, she remembers the council meeting where they said it tries to go into your mouth and your nose, and she knows that's exactly what is happening to her right then and there. And I think what happens is she actually ends up creating a bubble around herself,
Okay.
and reverting herself in time back to prior, or attempting.
Oh, so you're trying to tumble back in time.
Tumble herself
to
back
get away
yeah.
out of the target of this thing.
Yeah, but I don't
Okay.
think she realizes that's exactly what she's doing.
It's
To
just
a complete
instinctual.
extent, it's just instinctual.
Okay. I'm going to invoke the weakness tags because you're using 3 power tags, yes?
Yes.
I'm going to invoke the weakness tags. Doesn't understand this power.
Okay.
Fatigued. And disrupts the journey.
All right, so flat roll. Cool.
Yep.
All right, let me see here. That's a hot 5.
Okay. Lumira,
Bless up.
in the heartbeats before this mist lion collides with you, you feel it. The ticking of the clock. And then you see it, like pearls on a string behind you. A string you didn't even realize you had been placing beads upon. Every single time, Lumira, that you've been using chronergy, a clock somewhere deep inside you, high above you, had ticked down a wedge. And now it's ticked down enough wedges for you to know there was a clock in the first place. Because you are dabbling in forces you do not understand, Lumira. And it is in this split second, before everything goes to hell for you, that you realize why, intimately, physically, magically, vulnerably, trans does not allow time magic. Please roll 2d6 plus the number of mythos tags you have.
Okay. Eight.
Lumira, what does your body look like as it ages 8 years?
Holy shit! Lumira's eyes sink in just a little bit more, just a tad bit more fatigued. Her eyes, which were opalescent, near marble-like gray, now sit just as a bit stormier, a little bit darker, a little bit more jaded. And I think there's more gray. I think at this point, her entire front swoop, like her entire front bang, is now completely white. Yeah.
Yep. The entire front part of your hair turns alabaster white as this stone lion barrels into you, no, through you. And it collides with this desperate flicking, corrupted, broken, not quite pieced together liminal that shatters against it. And mist and time magic go flying around you in bedlam. You see, as your eyes sweep to the left, following this line of action, something tear open just a little bit in the fabric of not the city of heaven, not the underworld, not the cradle, but in the fabric of reality, in the fabric of the journey itself. You see something tear open and then suture itself closed before you can understand the true extent of this consequence. You feel yourself get a little bit more tired, a little bit more exhausted, and in the mirror reflections of this lion before it passes through you, you see your own face tick forward 8 years. 1, 2, 3, 5 years, 7, 8 years. Slight wrinkles starting to form, just a little bit, creases on the edges of your eyes, that shock of white hair, and poof, you're left standing there, winded, changed.
And she once again scurries back into the fog, the mist, away from Sayre and everyone, utterly terrified.
You stumble into the mist. Sayre, you saw Lumira for a fraction of a second. Your own perspective fogged by this fear, mirrored by this hunting instinct. Before a second, Lumira had stumbled into your view. How do you respond as she backs away again? Staggering, older.
No, not again, not again, not again. Get out of me! Boom, out of me now! Sayre yells out, reaches out to Lumira as she backs away, and now he's fighting himself as he believes that he is the one bringing disaster, bringing calamity upon us again.
And you feel that instinct within you, that part of you that you have tried to push down. It surged up a little bit on the balcony of the gambling house, but you were able to cork it back down. That bow had helped. 300 years of feeling full, and suddenly, Sayre, your pit, your stomach is an empty pit. Once more, as you shout, get out of me, and the hunger rises inside of you, bids you to eat, consume. We sweep across this mist-addled battlefield to find Zynon Ash. Zynon. The stone lion poof, pounces. In the moments before it lands upon your body, how do you react?
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
How many tags is too many tags for me to invoke?
There's no limit.
Zynon is... I love this for me. Zynon is standing ready. He's been ready. In fact, he was ready before he even truly saw this corrupted stone lion. And he's faced down countless monsters before he even was a trans agent, and he doesn't even blink as he draws that bird-song bow, feels the tension as his thumb wraps around the string. And he is going to shoot before it can jump all the way on top of him.
Excellent. That is an unleash violence move, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he's going to do something a little bit strange. He is feeling the strangeness of this situation, and where I think everyone else is feeling the fog oppress them, and the sounds and the words, the feelings, all scary. Zynon has stared down fear. He grew up staring into the dark. And he draws that bow and he lets that galvanize him. And he feels it draw out the ghost. And so as he shoots, as he draws the bow taut, I would like to pitch using Sentinel against the ending. This mist is an ending, the ending. Survivalist. the birdsong bow, Deadeye, streamlined equipment, and
Okay.
untethered existence.
That's 6. That is 6. I'm going to invoke. This is a shield. Haunted by dusty memories.
Mhm.
Go for it. So that's a +4. On Unleash Violence. I think this is technically our first time ever using this move, so the
Yes.
trigger reads as follows. When you unleash violence, describe how you do it. I think you just did. And roll 2d6 plus tags. So what'd you get?
So, with a +4,
Hmm?
that's a 10.
You just hit the 10? Oh my god. Okay. On a 10 plus, you inflict a status with a tier equal the number of tags you rolled with. That's 4 tags. And you choose one. You don't suffer or worsen a status in return. You glean a weakness, flaw, or hidden desire, or you seize a temporary advantage.
I think I would like to seize a temporary advantage.
Okay.
I would like to know where Nova is, if possible.
Okay. Would you like to decide the status that you inflict, or would you like me to pitch you something?
I'll take a pitch.
Okay. I'm thinking dispersed 4.
Oh, perfect. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What does it look like as this birdsong bow quivers underneath your grasp and then the arrow is loosed with intentional violence?
Zynon isn't an archer. In fact, his calling isn't rifleman or hunter. His calling is sharpshooter. And this bow is baked into the very magic of who he is. He draws the bow tightly, keenly, holding that perfect angle that you are supposed to hold as an archer. He draws it across his body, his thumb holding it firmly like he's drawn a bow every day his entire life. And he looses this arrow, and as it goes away from him, it doesn't pierce the mist. It becomes hardened air as his ghost form transmutes the arrow to disperse the mist.
Yes! A pure lance of force and air shoots through this line. It disperses it. It disperses a lot of the mist in a straight line in the direction that your arrow flies. And that's how you see Strike Team Nova. Your arrow lodges in the solid jade of a pillar, dozens, almost 100 boo in front of you, and you see a battlefield rended with terror, but also hope. You see on one end of the battlefield Yen Zhiling, the gentlewoman scholar. In her hand, she is wielding a long sword made of pure conjured phoenix flame. She is slashing downward at another mist-born lion just as she renders it into pieces of steaming droplets. And those bright flashing mirrors also shatter and collide into nothingness under the force of her burning sword. You also see Mu Chunxing with not an abacus in their grasp, but a guqian. They had lengthened the abacus into this instrument, and it floats in front of them. They fling their fingers across the strings, and it rings out in pure harmonious tones, just like the clacking of the beads, and it hits another stone lion made of mist that was pouncing at them, and it disperses the fog into nigh unseeable particles. You also see Long Hui, and you realize what that shadowy slash you thought you saw earlier was. Their shadow-tipped fingers appear as ink-dipped brushes, that are able to draw forms into reality. You see them draw a blade of pure shade into existence and punch it forward, skewering yet another mistborn lion and shattering it across the hall. The only symbols that don't appear to be here and fighting are Lu Hua and Xuejiang. You see the Forge Master tugging Lu Hua toward the exit, trying to protect their apprentice, trying to pull them away from the fight and shield them from harm. And you see Lu Hua fighting against her, saying, no, I want to fight. I'm a symbol. I have to. But then looking around as Zainan's arrow cuts through this hall and disperses the mist for just a second. And you see Strike Team Nova reeling. Lumira stumbling. Is her hair a little bit whiter than usual? Does she look more worn than usual? And you see Seir very much not like himself. Teeth almost in a mirrored reflection as those mist-born beasts had been. Antlers curled in like thick brambled horns. And even in the swell of hope that you had illuminated, even as the mist is dispersed and you feel that inevitable sense of victory that you are so familiar with. You get that same exact feeling rising in the pit of your stomach. You had felt this on many countless missions before, and it has never led you astray. A feeling of triumph. In just a few more seconds, you will have bested this encounter. You with your strike team, despite the blows you might have taken, you will have won and surmounted. But then the mist starts to thicken once more, not across the entire hall, just across the gods and the cultivators who are most vulnerable to it. You see pylons, thick clouds of fog beginning to descend and hammer down upon Lumira and Seir, other fallen gods, not the symbols who seem to be doing quite well on their own, and falling down on you as well, Zaidan, this bellwether of hope fighting back against the fog. The mist comes down and punches all three of you, flows through you, does exactly as Lu Hua had described. It tries to flurry into your mouth, press through the pores of your skin, out in through your eyes, tangling through your hair, and then... You blink. And the mist is gone. No. Not just the mist. Everyone. The gods, the symbols, even the beasts that were stalking you in that bone-white fog. Only you and your strike team remain in this vast, empty, vacant, silent hall. Your weapons still raised, your hearts still hammering in your veins. You see light. Morning light pouring through the windows, so golden and shining it hurts your eyes. You see a light smattering of dust floating through the air, a low and lazy movement in comparison to the pulse-pounding fight you were caught in just a single blink before. You are standing in the exact same position as you were moments ago, except everyone is gone. Everyone except Hun Xiaocheng. The courtier of the four symbols sits at the base of the throne, not on it, but at its feet, their back leaning against the polished red sandalwood, their eyes downcast, looking somber, despondent. The oracle floats next to Xiaocheng's head, and Brother Goose pecks at their feet, and as soon as the three of you reappear, Xiaocheng snaps their bright orange gaze up, and they gasp. And we're going to end the session there. So thank you all so much for tuning in.
Honey,
Yes, Sam?
can I add a little bit on the end before we end for flavor?
Yeah, go for it!
Just a little bit. As soon as we touch down back, we see the oracle, we see Lumira screams at the top of her lungs. She's not outwardly vocal like that, but she's clutching her left arm. And when she pulls it out of her sleeve, you see her gold fingertips going down past her hand to her wrist and stops. That's where we'll end, if it's okay, Connie.
Yeah! Hell yeah! The classic Connie cliffhanger hijacked by the Sam Star. Screw you! I love that. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in to this episode of Arc 2 of the Chaos Protocol. I have been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions to the incredible Mr. Doom, Sayer, and Valiant Dorian.
Hi, I'm Valiant Mr. Doom Dorian. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight I was your little Doom boy Sayer who uses he, they pronouns. I'm scared and terrified, and I'm gonna pass introductions over the kites. It's all on you, buddy.
Hey, I'm so worried. Hi everybody, I'm Kai. You can find me all over the internet as Estelle of Imladris. I've had a grand old time playing our archer, Mr. Zainin Esh, this evening. Yep, and I'm just so scared, Sam. Please go.
Hey y'all, I'm Sam Star. Were you worried today? You shouldn't be. Lemira's fine. You can find me all across the internet at Lust for Life. That's LUSTTFORLIFEEX. Yeah, nothing to worry about. My goodness gracious, my girl's doing great. What's up, boss?
It's me, the boss. Just so y'all know, our next episode is going to be next Saturday. That is going to be February, let's take a look, 24th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. We will be participating in a global cause for awareness about genocide across the world, DRC, Sudan, Palestine, which means that any and all donations we get on that stream day, we are going to be paying it forward to aid causes, to raise awareness and show our support for people who are fighting against oppression, imperialism, colonization, and genocide everywhere. So yes, that's going to be what's happening next week. Please share the news of, I believe, Bisan has called for marches happening starting today into, I believe, the 20th. So if there's a march being organized in your city, in your community, and you're able to show up, please consider doing so, and or just continuing to also boost the cause of Palestine, DRC, Sudan, and all other places who are currently under siege by imperialism and colonization and genocide. So yes, that is us. We will see you again next week for the continuation of the Chaos Protocol. Oh my goodness, I love that the cliffhanger was hijacked by Sam. That's excellent, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. We love you all so much, and Spisho.